Wonderful. So, good evening to you, right? Okay.
Is everything okay? Well,
How was your day, maybe?
my day's been okay. My day's been good. It has been a crazy day. Obviously, what's going on in capital here in America has been quite eye-opening and quite a crazy day to live through. But 2020 has been full of crazy days. So let's hope it's the last the last of them, and 2021 will be a little smoother sailing. But yeah, no, today for me is good. But the night is young. It's
Okay, the night is young.
yeah.
By the way, what's the temperature? What's the weather like in Florida nowadays?
Mild, warm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing a sweater, but
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a little hot for that.
Okay, a little hot for that. Okay.
But it's very cold in the mornings. But then by the
Uh-huh.
time the afternoon comes, it's beautiful, very sunny still.
Do you turn on the heater or it's not necessary?
I prefer not to
Hmm.
because it's so hot in the summer. It's quite
Hmm.
nice to have
Hmm.
an
Okay.
excuse to wear a
Hmm.
scarf
Hmm.
or a sweater. And no, I don't like to run the heat. It's better for the environment.
Okay.
Hurt my shoulder, so I'm taking it easy. Um, and
What's wrong with it? Were
who
you?
knows?
Oh.
it's it's a mystery, but yeah, no, I'm taking it easy. And also, there's Corona, so yeah, my
Okay.
exciting plans and my social life at the moment revolves around
Hmm.
my animals,
Okay.
my
So
cats.
may I ask you first, what are you doing in America? What brought you to the United States?
What brought me to the United States?
Mm-hmm.
So um, the law changed. So my partner is American, and there was a change in the law that
Mm-hmm.
allowed us um, to be together on either side of the Atlantic. And at that time, it felt like Europe was going through something. It was on the precipice of going through something quite terrible, and wasn't sure what that was, but it just felt like there was something in the air, and I didn't really want to just hang around for it. So with the change in the law, we thought, well, let's see what America has to offer, and because you must seize the day, if there's an opportunity, you must be spontaneous, and so we.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't particularly spontaneous. It was a process, but we took the opportunity, and I get to enjoy a lot more sunshine, a lot more sunshine every
Yeah,
day
for sure.
than uh, than 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 I would have staying put in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're in America. You said you're enjoying this wonderful weather, but do you still feel yourself like a British citizen, or part of your soul belongs now to America?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I have a very strange attachment and detachment to the UK, and um, I feel very European for
Hmm.
sure, and I feel
Hmm.
perhaps European before I feel British, um, and that's all changing, of course, with all this current craziness, Brexit, and so on. But I've been here a long time, but I don't feel American
Hmm.
yet. I don't know yet really what that means. I mean, I've lived abroad and travelled a great deal. I've been very fortunate to travel very extensively, and I felt as much as I feel at home here. I felt perhaps more spiritually more spiritually
Hmm.
connected to other places that I've been lucky to see. But I love it here, and I do feel very at home. But I feel more British when I'm away from England than when I'm
Mm-hmm.
there. And I'm really concentrating now to talk in like British.
Okay, so yeah,
No
about the
longer wonder.
exactly like about the accent, because you're good with languages, right? You've
I
mastered
am.
so many of them, but you're keeping your accent still with you, right?
I,
No?
I am good. I'm told I'm good with languages,
Mm-hmm.
but my accent goes on a wonder. It's very inconsistent, and within sentences, it will have gone from one place to another.
Mm-hmm. So
So
it's
I
gonna
don't think
swing. Okay.
it's in a constant state of flux.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, if I have, if I'm feeling romantic, or if I have road rage, or whatever kind of extreme emotion I'm in, my
Mm-hmm.
accent might swing in one direction.
Okay.
But that's yeah. I feel very international, and
Very
there's
international. Okay.
lots of
Uh-huh.
reasons why I might feel that way, and I think that my strange accent is perhaps a reflection of that.
Okay.
Of not being tied down in one place for too long.
Do you have any intention to make America your home forever, or you're not sure yet?
Who knows what forever means? I think for me, that's always been a hard question to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Forever, because
So what it means, whenever you like, at least until you feel welcomed, until you feel comfortable, you're going to be there, or what could change your opinion, your...
let's put it this way: who foresaw this morning what the afternoon had? Today, especially today, but
Mhm,
you could say that about any day, really. You just don't know what the future holds, and
mhm.
so there could be circumstances that would compel me to explore elsewhere. And I don't like to ever talk about forever. I've made decisions before
Mhm.
about moving places and all sorts of decisions that I thought would last forever and ever. And I've made um, really significant choices in my life based on this idea of forever that I then later would find out were uh, insubstantial. So no, I think right now I'm here, and I'm
Mhm.
very very glad to be here and privileged and lucky to be here. Um, but who knows what the future? Who knows what the future holds? If I'm still here in the
Uh-huh.
same place, not doing different things, then that's kind of stagnant, isn't it? So
Oh
I
yeah.
hope that if I am here, because there are far worse places to be, that I will continue developing, and I don't wish to. I don't. I like change. I like. I like. I don't. Yeah, I like exciting things, and that
Mhm.
doesn't have to sit still.
But I mean, for your career, in terms of music, in terms of singing, right? Was it a huge step forward, or
To
it?
move to America,
Yeah.
oh, it was a huge. It was
No.
a. That was a. Um, that was that wasn't even a step. It was a jump away. To be honest, if I'm
Mm.
really quite frank, I um, I was do. I mean, I was so I was performing all over the world in a quartet, a vocal quartet, for many years, and fairly successful. We were definitely beloved by audiences and standing ovations, and treated very nicely. Um, and I knew that coming here, I would have to give that up because it was just not feasible to continue with that.
Really, completely give it up.
Of course, how could I? I mean, it's, you know, yes, of
Isn't
course, because
America?
if I were to, in order to attend a rehearsal,
Uh-huh.
if I lived in Paris, it's fine. I could jump on a train.
Yeah,
But
I
if I lived in
understand that, of
Daytona,
course, the distance, right?
yeah, and every time the band would be booked, it would add a huge, the cost of the flight to the cost would added to the cost of the band, and it just wouldn't. It would have been. It wouldn't have been fair to um, impose that upon everyone else. It would have scuppered up everyone else's chances of success. And you know what? I made my peace with it. I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to America and I'm going to do something new. I'm going to try something completely different and just see where the wind blows me in another direction. But it doesn't always blow in another direction because
Hmm.
um, although I made my peace that I wasn't going to be pursuing live singing um, or being out there because
Hmm.
I was very lucky. I have gotten to far exceed my expectations as a performer. I've performed in incredible venues and with extraordinary vocalists and worked with wonderful people. I've toured much of the world. I never, I've done far better than I thought I might. So when I came to America and thought, no, well, I'm not going to pursue that because I'm at a certain age where if I'm starting from scratch, it just it didn't feel like it was the right thing to be pursuing. But it's what I do. It's part of my. It's part of my.
Identity.
It's part exactly. It's part of my identity. It's really
Yeah,
part of
that's
what
what
I
I
do
wanted to.
best.
Yeah, yeah.
So actually, I've had a couple of wonderful opportunities happen since I thought that that door was going to be closed for a little while, and
Hmm.
I've done some really amazing things that I'm very proud of. Um, I made my New York debut in a cabaret show
Hmm.
and won two awards for it. Um, and I had a residency at a local establishment
Hmm.
where I sang um, with a classical guitarist. And I said to him when we started working together, I said to him, "Well, I'm kind of getting on now. I can't just learn new material like this. So we're going to have to just do songs that I'm already familiar with because I can't. I just so he's like, yeah, okay, because he's very easygoing, and so I got to choose all the songs from
Hmm.
my youth, from my kind of experience, and just songs that I like from all around the world, and we would perform them in this we have a really distinctive style that that we were developing. So he would play with this kind of country picking um, country style with
Hmm.
flamenco influences and influences from classical guitars and folk guitar. And I obviously with my accent, I can't sing country. It sounds ridiculous. I've tried to. I've tried, and it just sounds very odd. So rather than having any twang, I sang everything very smooth and kind of it's like melted butter. And so the combination of some very unusual material. I mean, we're talking like Turkish music, Israeli music, Swedish music, um, 90s jams, stuff from operas, all like really unusual material with this lovely kind of mixture of old world and new world. And it was
Giles, you are talented. I mean, how could have you thought about stopping it all, like turning the page?
oh,
No, I mean,
I do it every
music.
couple of years. I say, I'm going to retire, I'm going to withdraw from public life and wash my hands here, and I always come back to it. And actually, I'm coming back to something else, not
Mhm.
live singing myself, but I have a background as a producer, and I've produced quite a few works by other people, and it's now I'm producing something that I've written myself, which um, it's been it's been really interesting stepping back into those boots as a producer and executive producer and general manager and all the hats that you wear when you create theatre. And after you know, coming to America and a little break from producing other people's theatre and not just other people's, but from producing theatrical projects on any sort of larger scale, suddenly I was producing the largest project
Yeah, because in America they make everything huge, right?
Well, this wasn't made in America actually. This was made over in the UK.
Oh, okay.
So um, I wrote a contemporary opera with Sylvia
Mm-hmm.
Plath, and 12 years after its conception, I was able to record it in a studio with opera singers
Mm-hmm.
in the UK as a feature-length, through composed operatic radio play as a concept album, and with an enormous extended orchestral score and a large cast and an album of bonus material of songs from the show translated into Yiddish.
Mm-hmm.
And against all the odds, every possible, I mean, sorts of challenges, we managed to do it in 4 days, 4 days and 1 hour.
Wow. Awesome.
little over that, but yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
And its releases, it's being released, prepared for release as we speak. And,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is going to be like the major event in 2021 for you?
it is a major event for me in my life. It's something that I have
Okay.
worked for 12 years on.
Uh-huh.
It's been a very personal journey, creating it, and the themes it explores and the challenges that it posed of me as a creative and as a producer as well. It's been normally a project like this would be collaborated on by a much larger team of creative people. But I have taken on board a lot of those responsibilities myself. I've had some fantastic people in my team,
Mm-hmm.
but this is my baby. So its release is very significant to me as a creative, and having been away for a while and to come back with such an ambitious project. Who knows what that.
Oh yeah, that's your favorite phrase for sure. Who knows what tomorrow is going to bring us?
And
Yeah,
you
for
know
sure.
what?
Yeah.
It could sink completely without a trace.
Yeah,
Because
I know.
I mean, how many new musicals and new operas can
Yes.
you think of? Even though there are hundreds and hundreds being churned out all the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
the chance of success is very limited. But this is also a very significant piece of theatre that is sounds very immodest to say it, but it's quite an achievement. Um, so who knows? Again, who knows what could happen with it?
Right.
It could open some exciting new doors, and it could light some old candles that had been saved.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, again, who knows? I did a little cameo on there. I wasn't planning on it, but it transpired that way, and so you can hear my dulcet tones.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So when is the release date?
So it should be released by the 18th of January.
January. Wow, so soon.
Very soon, yes,
Mm-hmm.
very, very soon. And there were so many moving parts in putting it together. So many moving parts that it felt very impertinent to uh, announce it to the press or
Hmm.
start creating a buzz or creating expectations of it in case, for whatever myriad of reasons, we might not have been able to pull it off. And that was good thinking on our part because we finished it at the last possible second. We had to make some sacrifices. There was a couple of little bits of material, that, harmony lines and things no one would have noticed, but the bones
Hmm.
of what we needed had absolutely needed to get done was finished on the wire. And oh, yeah, COVID
Yeah.
and all that made it very, very difficult project to do. Can you imagine rehearsing a whole opera with masks on the
Masks
entire
on. Yeah. Yeah. No, I
social
cannot.
distancing, uh, masks on, visors,
Uh
so
huh.
I didn't even hear
Oh yeah.
how it sound until it had been finished, until it
Uh
had been
huh.
mixed.
Uh huh.
I can
Yeah,
walk
that's
around the
crazy.
room and put my ear
Uh
as
huh.
close as I can within social distance towards someone's muffled mouth with
Mhm.
a thing and a thing,
Mhm. Mhm.
but that doesn't give me any clue how things are going to sound blended. And so all that clarity gets lost in the voice as soon as you start to muffle it.
Mhm.
So hearing it come together when it was finally all those parts, oh, it was very encouraging. Very encouraging.
Oh yeah, I believe you. Yeah. I guess yeah. Last year shuffled all the cards, right? It was so unpredictable, and it was shocking, and yeah, we weren't ready for sure. We weren't ready for that. Um, so apart from being a singer and a producer, now you exploring another role of being a teacher. So is it something new for you, or?
So I've been I mean, I've coached different people in different capacities
Mhm.
uh, for years, just throughout my uh, experience as a creative producer,
Mhm.
and many different in many different capacities. When you work in independent theatre, you have to be very adaptable and do
Oh yeah, for sure.
a great deal of everything. If you want it to be
Yeah.
a success, that's on you. Um, so I have for a long time worked with different people in different ways, and I've always seemed to have a knack for bringing
Uh-huh.
out in a performer what I want to see from them. And that's not always what other people want to see from them, but it's I get the results that I want. I'm just kidding. Uh, I find that I get very quick results, and I have a way of communicating um, uh, with people, not just with performers, but with people who wish to bring that out of themselves. I'm very good at bringing out of people their voice, as I won't stand for shyness. It doesn't get you anywhere. There's no point to it. Let's just get it out of the room. And I make it very clear that not that no, this is a safe space, because this isn't a safe space. Like, this
Uh-huh.
is edgy space,
Oh
but
yeah.
like this is our edgy space. So if you want me to stand on my head and make a fool of myself, so that when I ask you to make a fool of yourself, making certain sounds, then let's just get nervousness and let's get that out of here because we're here to make progress. And because I'm quite no nonsense, but also quite eccentric and fun, I very quickly get people to experiment with their voices, and I personally really enjoy um, very overdeveloped voices that have not overdeveloped. That's an inappropriate word. Very voices that have extreme diversity within them,
Mhm.
where it's not just singing in this narrow part of voice because it's safe and easy and it sounds kind of pretty. Who cares for pretty? Anyone can make pretty noise. If the text says you're jealous or you're bitter
Mhm.
or you're feeling some kind of way, then why should you sound pretty? Like, so I encourage my singers to sing with lots of truth and use all different registers and aspects of their voice to deliver the truth within them as indicated by the text. And I'm quite confident that I communicate that quite well with my students, and I think it's lovely, well, to be a mentor for a young person. A lot of my students are around the age of 14, and I remember people when I was that age who were um, who filled those roles for me, those mentorship roles or those roles of encouragement or um, at that
You mean
age,
just some kind of psychological support, first of all, or?
yeah, imagine, I mean, if you find your voice, this is the loveliest thing, especially with my students that age, when they first come to me, they're sometimes very shy, painfully shy.
Right.
But they know they want to do it, but they won't allow themselves their voice. And then I'm compromising. I will say, well, no, let's get your voice out. If I have to get them angry or wound up and then let that out, and then we build from that, or joyous, whatever the text is that they're saying. But yeah, in any case, I'm sorry, I could talk for hours about it. I love
I can tell it's something that you really love. But is it some kind of special technique that you've invented? Is it some kind of a method? No?
I
Maybe
don't
you
know if
can
it's a special
patent it.
technique that
Maybe you
I've
can open up
invented, but
your schools, Giles style. I don't know, something like that. No?
it's lovely to see how my students develop their self-expression in a short period of time and go
Hmm.
from being very meek to being an open book. They can give you whatever you ask of them. If you say, right, this text says angry, this text says be lovely, this text says be ferocious or flirtatious, they can do it because they're not
Hmm.
themselves hiding themselves. They understand that you have to give the
That
audience
they're
what they want.
limitless, right? They're limitless. They have to fill it, right?
And you know what? Some of the demands that I place on the voice are perhaps quite challenging for singers with small voices. But
Yeah, I mean, do you accept all sorts of students?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If you with all sorts of ambitions, who want to sing all sorts of styles. Um, I had, I had, I've had. There are two students in particular who do me so proud. One of whom recently got a scholarship and has gone on to train halfway across the
Hmm.
country. She is destined for absolute greatness.
So you could have seen it like right away in that student. That's
Immediately,
oh,
immediately,
okay.
and she was fearless as well. Um, she would come dressed as the character or with like a prop or with makeup and just fearlessly be who the character was just fantastic. And she came to me already good, and she could
Hmm.
sing contemporary musical theatre in her sleep really well. Little tweaks, little, of course, there's always what we can do.
Hmm.
Um, again, connecting with text and things, but she didn't need my help with that. So I was like, okay, great. Well, you don't need my help with that. So let us do something a little different. So here's Verdi's Requiem. Here's some turn of the century opera. Let's see what other strengths you have. And by the time she finished with me, she had not only the strong, confident voice that she was already familiar with, but equally strong facets, all different parts of her voice. And that was so gratifying to see that my approach really,
Oh yeah,
she took it, she ran with it, and it
yeah.
worked.
You must have been proud of yourself for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she gives me extreme pride. And then I have another student who doesn't have quite the same powerhouse voice, but through my tutelage and mentorship, has developed a really um, grown up and adult way of looking at text and subtext and communicating that and looking beneath the surface at what not. I encourage um, contrast and peaks and troughs. I hate repetition and I hate flatlining. If you're going to give me a song, in the same way that light only exists in relation to darkness and happiness only exists in relation to misery, if you're just giving me one emotional uh, plane throughout the song, I don't care because there's no contrast, there's no conflict for me to care about when you achieve your aims. If the song is about being happy because of this, well, if there's moments of the opposite, you need to give that to me. Otherwise, I won't care about your joy. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
and so she's gone from a very two-dimensional way of, yeah, this song is about, oh, she's jealous, so I'm going to kind of sing it like this. I keep saying jealous as an example. It's just whatever, whatever the song is about, any emotion. And rather than just doing that, she'll play all around it and color that with
Mm-hmm.
context. And it makes for really exciting performances. It means that when my students come to me after doing the tasks I set for them, they've gone from me being kind of slightly disengaged from in their to their performance to being really riveted. And I've had students who surprised me so much they've made me cry from the way they've delivered
Mm.
material. And that's so exciting to me to bring out in someone their not only that for an audience to enjoy, but within their own self, that they know they have that power. They know that if I don't hide from my voice, my feelings don't about me, but take charge and command of it, the power that that gives, oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to give to empower someone, to empower that, yeah, that they can empower themselves and then empower other people with their voice. And I love
But
it.
in your life, did you have a teacher like that?
For singing?
Yeah.
No.
No. So who was
No,
like
that's
who?
not fair. Hold on. Please let me answer that better. So, um, the only I've had mostly I've taught myself to sing through. I have had some singing lessons,
Mhm.
very few of them. At school, I mean, like as a child, and they were useless to me. There was no engagement to.
To express yourself freely, right?
No, it was nothing of the sort. It was
Uh-huh.
just, oh, I'm being paid by the hour. Let's do some scales. Let's waste half of the time doing breathing exercises because who wants to hear a child sing? Fair, I totally get that. I get it. Do you know, I get it. But I learn, I learn because I enjoy singing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can get things out that other people respond positively to. There's this interaction that happens when you sing and when people engage with it, and I wanted to I wanted more from that, but I actually have sounds very silly and neurotic. I have quite an ugly voice, and I have, or at least in my
Mm-hmm.
neurosis
In
of
your
it,
head. So you sounded strange in your head, right?
yeah, and I
Uh-huh.
still do sometimes. But then you work on refining it and making it beautiful, and you think, well, this person sounds fantastic. Um, this singer, I admire them, and I can hear
Mm-hmm.
qualities that we share. How can I emulate the beauty in your voice? But I also
Mm-hmm.
like what this person's doing. How can I learn from what they're doing? And constantly kind of learning and adapting different ways of singing to, and you have to constantly record yourself because what you think you hear
Oh
is
yeah.
totally different to what, yeah. So in any case, um, I would say my best teachers have been some of the voices that I idolize, but I do have one uh, person who I worked with, actually a colleague, who performed with me in the quartet,
Mm-hmm.
um, who uh, again, they really opened my eyes to the truth of what you're doing, the spirituality and the connection that you're making with an audience, and don't compromise. Like, taught me to strive for the best and um, to enjoy every moment, and just to also to always remember that it is such a privilege. It does feel like hard work sometimes,
Hmm.
especially if you're singing the same material again and
Oh
again.
yeah, over
You
and
want
over.
to
Yeah.
yawn,
Hmm.
roll your eyes, ugh. But you know what? It's such a privilege to be up there doing it. Um, and there are far worse things to be that one can be doing to make a living.
Hmm.
Anyway, so no, he he was enormously. I have enormous gratitude to him for the mentorship that he
So you said that you have sounded like ugly a little bit for yourself at the beginning, but who was the first person who explored your talent? Who told you that, Giles, actually you can sing, you can deliver it, you are talented? Who was that person? Who encouraged you somehow? No? No one to
my
say,
family
yeah.
obviously encouraged me,
Uh-huh.
but also to an extent discouraged. Like, shut up, you know. And when I expressed an interest, like, oh, I'd like to maybe pursue this as a career, it was just
No, they said
no,
no, it's not the
no.
best, the wisest
But I
choice.
would say the same to anyone else. I would say the same.
Really?
It is.
Because
It
what?
is. It is such a foolish thing to set your heart on as a career. But if the fates allow, if the universe wants it to happen, it'll happen. But if you set
So,
your heart on it and it doesn't happen,
yeah.
then what are you going to do? You
So wait a
have to have
second. What
you
is
have to have
essential
passion.
then? You're trying to say that not your talent, not your amazing, unique, special voice, it's the fate, actually.
Oh, talent has nothing to talent has such little to do. There,
Really?
I could tell you talented people. I know talented people. Some of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, who it hasn't happened for. They haven't. You do have to go out and seek it and be open-hearted for it. But
I know, but talent has nothing to do with charisma.
it has
Talent has
everything to do with how
nothing,
much you want it.
yeah.
If you are single-mindedly going to make your stardom happen, then you will make it happen. Some people have luck, some people have circumstance, some
Hmm.
people have drive.
Hmm.
The most successful people have either all three or a lot of drive. But no, it has to do with talent and opportunity. Like coming here where I live, there's not the opportunity that there is in my
Hmm.
in my hometown. We had perhaps there is, I'm not found it, but Amdram and art centres and festivals and fates. And if you live in the middle of nowhere, or for whatever reason you don't have access to that kind of environment where those things are nurtured and encouraged,
Hmm.
then it's very difficult.
So
Very
have you
difficult.
ever regretted your choice, your
Which
career
choice?
choice, your career choice?
No.
No, never. Because what? It gave you
Well,
so
do you know,
much
well,
delight.
I mean, it would be nice to be a millionaire. It would be nice to be a billionaire. It would be nice. Everyone wants more, or something, better fortune, or um,
Hmm.
but it would be nice to be able to provide more for those I love. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and had I had this is a crazy question. No, I don't regret. I don't
No.
regret. I've had such wonderful opportunities. I have met. Oh my goodness! I have sung the feeling of giving your all in a show, and then there's the lights and the smoke
Hmm.
machine and the
Hmm.
lasers and the hydraulic lift and the orchestra and the conductor. The feeling, and when the audience gives back to you, like there's just nothing. And I've been that feeling is the same feeling in a small bar or the Royal Albert Hall,
Hmm.
but the there is nothing to hear thousands of people give back something of gratitude for what you've given them which was for yourself, and that whole emotional spirit. It's just magic. No, so I don't. I would. I'm very happy with having gotten to explore. Excuse me, to experience those things
Hmm.
and to visit China and Israel and Japan and and all sorts of crazy far flung places. Um, but I think it's I've been very lucky
I
to.
understand all of these possibilities, of course, to travel, to meet new people, to explore new cultures. I understand that. But what is more essential for you as a person, as a human being, to be able to express yourself fully on stage or to be heard and understood by people?
I don't see a distinction between the two. I don't know why they would be.
Oh, really? Good. Oh, that's good. Okay.
What?
Because, let's talk about pop music, right? It is popular. And sometimes you have to sing about, I don't know. Well, you sign a contract and you become Britney Spears, right? You sing about love and you expose yourself a little bit in a way, right? Just because people love it, people want you to do such things, right? They want you to sing some silly songs, right? But you are not you when you do that.
Oh, I see
Know
what
what
you
I
mean.
mean? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, of course. I've had to sing songs that I hate. I'd tell you a couple of
Yeah.
specific ones that I
Okay.
detest singing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Hate singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, really?
I
So
just
how did
hate
you
it
overcome it then?
because you as a
It's a part of a
performer,
profession, right? It's
as a
how
performer,
professional you
you
are.
are
Okay.
a
Yeah.
performing monkey. You are a puppet. If someone says, "I'm paying you to do this show,"
Hmm.
you do the show. And if you don't, if you're not comfortable, you don't do it. Then you give someone. There are plenty of other people who would be glad to have the opportunity. So I hated singing Bohemian Rhapsody. I hated singing My Way. Ugh. I hated singing. Um, I enjoyed the song actually. We had to do this song, Billy Joel. Tell her about it. Tell her everything. But we had to break the fourth wall and like go
Uh-huh.
into the audience and like shake hands and like boogie with people in the aisles. And I
Uh-huh.
hated that. I hated that so much. I wanted to park and bark. Like, give me the spotlights, like a
Hmm.
chair, the
Hmm.
orchestra, and I will give you a moment. I don't need to mess with that moment by running through the aisles, wiggling about the jolly. Ugh. But anyway, yeah, ultimately, it doesn't matter if you're enjoying it or not because no one cares about you. What matters is whether the audience enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
And if I'm sitting there dying inside singing My Way
Hmm.
because like it's so hackneyed, it's such a
Yeah, but I
cliche,
mean, if you
so
truly
over the
hate the
top.
song, Giles, if you truly hate it, if you despise it, like how can you deliver the spirit of the song? You know what I mean?
Because you get over yourself. You're
So
that's
you're what?
acting.
You're
That's
pretending, fake it till you make it, or what?
no, you're not doing it
No.
for yourself. You're doing it for the audience. So you pull it out. You
But then,
find
yeah, but then you
something
have
to
to.
enjoy.
Oh my goodness.
There's
I
so
mean,
much to enjoy. You'd think, okay, great. So I'll look in the front row and I'll see the smiling faces of the people in the first two rows because they're loving it. Or I'll look at my bandmates and think, oh, I'll roll my eyes, fucking song. Excuse me. I'll roll my
yeah.
eyes and think this song again. You find some way to enjoy it, or you just think, do you know what? As much as I hate singing this song, I'm so grateful to be here. And if I have to sacrifice 3 minutes of that's a long
Hmm.
song, that one
Hmm.
7 minutes of my life to sing this song that I hate, that's okay because I also get to sit up here and sing
Hmm.
the song that I
Okay.
love.
So
And
there's always compensation.
I get people to come up at breakfast and say, "Oh, you reminded me of my youth, and you made our anniversary singing that song," or "Oh, you've inspired me to start singing again," or "Oh, you made me
Hmm.
cry because that song reminds me of these happy times." And you think, great. Just a coal miner, get people coming up to him at the calf, say over a freaking excuse me, pardon my language,
Hmm.
over bacon and eggs, saying, "Oh, I'm so grateful for that coal that you went down into the earth and chipped out for 12
Hmm.
hours."
Hmm.
No, they don't get that same gratitude. Um, I wish they did, and nurses and all sorts of important people, because
Hmm.
being on standing on stage singing My Way is not gonna, you know, it's not brain surgery or or diplomacy or conflict resolution. But
Oh,
it's
for sure.
important because it's important. It's important. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so to answer your question, yeah, there are songs that you hate singing, but who cares? The audience love it, and you have to give it to them because that's what they're there for.
Mm-hmm. So being an artist, you become a public figure, right? Do you have to somehow like hide yourself, hide your private life, private matters?
I'm so sorry. You cut out for a second. Would you please
Oh,
repeat?
really? Yeah, something went wrong with the internet connection. Yeah, I was just asking you about your profession as a public one, right? So you
Yes.
somehow expose yourself a little bit to people, right? And of course, they want to know a lot about your personal life. So how do you deal with that? Like, where do you cut it? Where do you stop them?
I think there's something very vulgar about social media presence that's expected of people in the public eye. That private lives are on display, and
Hmm.
you know what you eat for breakfast. I know what you look like with no makeup on, and
Hmm.
ugh, yuck! I don't want that from my stars.
Hmm.
I like mystique. It's very old-fashioned of me, but I like. There's a public persona and a private persona, and the private persona is none of anyone else's business. But
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
public persona is something that you get to enjoy creating. It's not you. It's
Hmm.
you,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's
So you do have your alter ego, or what do you call it? What is that?
it's not even an alter ego. It's
No?
when you're on. It's when when your hair's done and your face is on and you're in a suit and you've just come off the stage and everyone. When you're in that moment, you play that role. People
Hmm.
want to come up to you and adore you
Hmm.
and idolize you because that makes them feel good.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you give them that moment. You be that shining star for as long as you're, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
in that role, and then you go and have a shower and you go and
Hmm.
put on your civvies and your normal clothes,
Oh yeah.
and you have a beer, and you suddenly turn back into a normal human being. Um, and I do love being in that mode. I will be honest. It's lovely seeing even because I know it's not real. I know I'm just
Mm,
me. I'm
mhm,
just
mhm,
I
mhm,
know I know my bad habits. I know my foibles. I know my imperfections and all of them. I'm sure there's loads more that I don't know. But I know I'm just a normal human being. Um, so when they come up all wide eyed and ooh, I know the secret that it's not real. But I
mhm.
don't want to tell them. It's like telling them that Father Christmas doesn't exist. If
Well,
they want to come up and believe that I'm a star and enjoy, oh, I got to talk to that star. Oh, it's wonderful. I know I'm not really a star, but
okay.
if in that moment I am, then great, lovely. But yeah, I don't have Instagram accounts or anything like that. I don't post my private. I've always been quite private about my private life. I think it adds an air of mystery to me. But
But it's a part of PR these days. So why don't you use those resources to
because you
maybe?
judged on again, you're judged on what you put out there,
Okay.
really. And if you put out there your personal life, you're going to be
Mhm,
judged according to what judgments people make on you as a person. If I
mhm,
put out there artistic and creative work, work of
mhm,
creative merit, I'll be judged on the merit of that. And
mhm.
as an artist, that's the only thing that matters, really. Why should people judge me on on whether my house is full of dog hair, or whether I use this concealer or that cleanser? Who cares? Who cares? What brand of cornflakes I should eat in the morning bears any relation to my music or what I create? I
Okay.
mean, there are people, there are wonderful artists who are terrible people. Terrible people. I've met some of them. I mean, and it's hugely disappointing because as people, I don't. They're not my kind of people. but that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that their music is incredible. So
Hmm.
I think the two are completely distinct from each other. And so when you're in that mode, when you're in
Hmm.
the suit and
Hmm.
you're all shiny and the spotlight's on you, you watch what you say.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah.
Um, where do you get your inspiration, and how do you recharge your batteries?
I'm sorry. Where do I get my inspiration? How do I
Yeah,
recharge my battery?
yeah, yeah. And how do you recharge them? It,
Those are two very completely different questions. So I'll tackle them in two halves. So my inspiration changes depending on what I'm doing because I work in so many different fields culturally and have involved in so many different projects, whether it's as a vocalist, um, as a musician, as a live performer, as a producer of other people's work, as a producer of my own, as an orchestrator.
mhm,
I do lots of different creative things, and each of those, and I'm not to toot my own horn, but I also do lots of visual art as well. I do stained glass windows, I do sculpture, I do textiles, and
exactly.
every
You're so multitasking. That's why I'm asking, like,
well, I just
so
think
many things in one person. Like, wow.
that it's important to make beautiful things. I love beauty,
Hmm.
and beauty inspires me. And so when I see something like I know that late Baroque Rococo style. That's one of my favorites, and everything is so gilded and so um, there's no room for anything. Everything that there is just so perfect and over the top. And then you see things like these lovely uh, little snapshots of India where there's all these lovely bright colors and tassels and sequins and elephants and everything's so brightly colored and beautiful. Or my favorite photographers, Pierre and Gilles, that they're the
Hmm.
work they do is so hyper perfect.
Hmm.
There's not a pore wrong. There's not a hair out of place. There's not nothing could be improved upon it. It's like perfection heightened, enhanced
Hmm.
perfection. I find that so inspiring. I could never
Okay.
create something that beautiful myself,
Hmm.
but it makes me want to try.
At least, yeah, right. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think I'm inspired by beautiful things, but it's again, like I said, it's all different things. This opera that I've written was inspired by totally different things. I went um, a trip to the Middle East and came back full of questions about my cultural heritage and all sorts of kind of personal identity crises,
Hmm.
and I wanted to explore them in a kind of musical theatre paradigm and create this hugely ambitious project because well why
Hmm.
shouldn't I just thought I think I've got all the skills that I need to pull this off. If I
Hmm.
have the patience and the capricion, then let's uh let's get the show on the road. And I just love, isn't it? I love theatre. I love. There's certain voice types that I really love, and you'll hear it throughout my work.
Hmm.
I love singers who sing right on the edge of the break of their voice, and rather than masking it,
Hmm. Hmm.
they make the most of it as a dramatic um, device. I love that. I love singers who have a slightly faster hertz of vibrato
Hmm.
than
Hmm.
the average person does. I like Um, and I want to hear that. I want to listen to that weird voice. That voice sounds like Snow White, or that voice that sounds like uh, I don't know, Jennifer Hudson, or
Hmm.
Mado Robin, or these kind of unusual, strange sounds.
Hmm.
I want to hear more of them. And if I want to do that, I have to create that, and then you make your own opportunities. I wanted to write an opera for my friend who had a beautiful voice. Um, and so I did. And then I wanted to put it on, and so we hired a church and
Hmm.
filled it with people and did this show, this completely inappropriate show to do in a church, in this giant stone church in London. And so we did it, and then one thing leads to another, to another, to another, and then
But it's so much work then at the end. It's so complex, right? For us spectators, it just looks beautiful, right? But we don't see the background of it, right? Like how much effort, how much time, how many nerves you wasted, maybe even on putting
Oh
it
gosh,
all together,
yeah.
right?
I think the older I get, the more I appreciate that there is an easy way to do things. But when you're a
Hmm.
young person, you reinvent the wheel. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
you
because
start from
yeah,
scratch. You're
you want
stubborn, so
everything
you
to be
learn the
ideal. Oh
hard
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Um, and looking back, I could have made my life much easier using the knowledge that now I know,
Hmm.
producing.
Hmm.
And that will be a constant learning curve for as long as I produce anything. Um, but you have to make your own. You have to make your own opportunities. But no, that doesn't have anything to do with the question you asked. Oh yes, so I the magic is and the time that's spent on it is, yes, there's what happens in the studio, but more to it
Hmm.
is that person with that talent does has spent their whole life honing
Hmm.
these muscles to make those sounds.
Hmm.
This person has dedicated all the humiliation that they have to go through performing, and whilst they get to where they want their voice to
Hmm.
be,
Hmm.
making horrible squawky sounds, singing songs that they don't want to sing, spending, not smoking, not drinking, not going out, not raising your voice over ambient sounds, um, to make it look that easy, so that they can walk into a room, pick up a piece of paper with random, dots and dashes on it, and turn that
Hmm. Hmm.
into an emotional experience for you. And that takes, it's not just talent, but it's the selflessness of the talented people to hone that talent. Because yeah, there are people who do it for glory. There are artists who are artists not necessarily because they have particular. I'm sure you can think of many, not because they're particularly talented,
Hmm.
because they
Hmm.
love the glory of
Hmm.
being a pop star or
Oh
being
yeah, they just want all the benefits, right?
exactly. But most people who have a talent and put it out there are doing it because it's the right thing to do, because they know that people will respond well to it, because it feels right, because it helps other people enjoy themselves, or not even enjoy themselves. Some of my favorite singers aren't enjoyable at all, but they give me an emotional release that's so powerful and distinct that that's why I love them. And if I can be that person for just one other person, then I've done something incredible. Um, there are people who've shared that. They said, "I've never heard a voice like yours, and you, you have a gift." And when people share that with you, to not do anything with it is very selfish,
Hmm.
because you don't have a voice. You do not have a voice forever. Your voice is constantly changing. Again, it's liquid, and it changes according to hundreds of different factors. But one thing for sure, once you reach a certain age, you don't have the voice you did when you were younger. And
When is that breaking point? 30 something?
no
Or
nonsense, absolute
no? I don't know,
hogwash.
I'm just asking. Or it depends. It depends on the life you were leading with
It depends
smoking
on all
and
sorts of
drinking
things.
and
It depends a lot on the style of music you're singing.
okay.
If you're a metal singer and you're doing all that kind of extreme screaming,
Hmm.
can you start doing that aged 80? I don't know.
Well,
Again, if you're a
Ozzy
Wagnerian
is
opera singer
still
and you're
yeah.
pushing all these huge volumes through your voice,
Hmm.
again, that's a very different thing than if you're singing a folk song and a lullaby.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, no, I would say, like, when you're elderly, you don't necessarily have the same control that you might have done when you were young.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm still amazed, for example, by Barbara Streisand. I think she didn't lose a bit of her voice. No?
she sounds terrific. So she does. I was thinking about her voice. Of course, she doesn't sound exactly the same as she did when she was 16 and
Oh
26 and
yeah,
38.
no,
It would be
no. Let's
ridiculous to
compare
expect her
her, yeah, in her late 20s.
singer.
Hmm.
Um, to say this delicately. Her voice in her younger years, her voice really excited me, and I still find her performances very exciting.
Mhm.
But her voice as a young woman was just phenomenal. I like Uma Sumac, I like Mado Robin, I like all these kind of extreme and strange voices. um, my favorite, I mean, in terms of pop music, I've always been a huge ABBA fan. I just can't hold flames to them.
Any male vocalists?
You know, that's an interesting question. There are male
Mm,
vocalists that I admire,
mhm.
and there are male vocalists I enjoy, and I enjoy singing along with them. But I don't get that same excitement from a male voice that I do from a female
No?
voice. I mean, obviously, Pavarotti is amazing, and oh, well, I'm going to get the two of them confused. Um, Juan Diego Flores.
Mhm,
Oh,
mhm, mhm,
just you hit when you hear him sing the La Fille du Regiment, he does those
mhm,
12 high C's effortlessly as if it was nothing. Oh, just amazing. But I can make male sound, so it doesn't have that mystique that a female voice
mhm,
does
mhm,
for
mhm.
me.
Okay.
I can feel the male resonance in my body when I speak and sing, but when a female sings, it's a
Mhm.
totally different experience, and
Oh
it
my
holds
goodness.
such mystique and excitement.
Uh-huh. Is there any particular singer with whom you would like to collaborate? To have a chance to sing together on one stage?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would love to sing with the Agneta from ABBA, the blonde
Hmm.
lady from
Hmm.
ABBA.
Hmm.
She's my spirit animal. I just think she's lovely, and I
Yeah,
think her voice.
I'm so surprised. What has happened? Could you please explain to me? They just finished and that's it. Like they disappeared. Why?
Well, they were all kind of married and divorced, and they just carried on until it was no longer fun, and they kind of went their separate ways in 1982, and then 3 years ago they announced a surprise comeback.
But it never happened, right?
It was going to be with holograms, but not holograms. It's like this new technology that no one's ever
Oh yeah,
seen
I heard the
before.
same about Whitney Houston. It's just horrible.
Oh, that
No.
makes that no, that was horrible. That was
Yeah.
creepy and strange. This is
Yeah.
supposed to be like you look at it and you couldn't tell, even from
Mm-hmm.
close up, that
Mm-hmm.
it's not a human being. So
Mm-hmm.
who
Mm-hmm.
knows how that could even happen? But then Corona happened, and it was all to do with this
Mm-hmm.
live tour, the new music, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all tied up in contracts. Who knows? But I would give anything to sing with her. I just think she's got this grace about her and this delicacy and this not delicacy. That's not the right word. She's delicate and she has this. She's just a magical voice to me, and I'd love to sing with Claire from Steps because she just looks like a lot of fun. And it's changed. Their name is changed now from the singer from Anthony and the Johnsons. It was Anthony Hegarty, and I think it's now Anochni.
No idea.
Magnificent voice, like a male Edith
Mm-hmm.
Piaf. We
Mm-hmm.
have, I think, a very similar quality to our
Mm-hmm.
voices. Rapid vibrato, very emotional. I'm a lot smoother and more, I guess, husky. Um, I'm less fragile and delicate and a bit more honeyed, I guess.
Okay. What about some maybe Londoners like Adele? No, hmm? No, you're not.
Doesn't just make she's great. I mean, I like that she writes very melodic music. I think
Hmm. Hmm.
there's too little of that in the charts today.
Hmm.
And I like that. I like that she writes beautiful melodic music. And tune is very hard, very hard. Every new tune that's written means that that tune and any variation of it, anything that sounds like it, and any
Hmm.
mathematical variation of it exists, and you
Hmm.
can't write it.
Hmm.
With every tune that's written, it gets harder and harder to write new tunes, and
Hmm.
that's a terrifying thought, really. Um, and so simplicity then becomes rarer and rarer. And she's able
True.
to take incredibly simple themes, strip them back of everything, and leave something that in its essence is tuneful, which is hard enough, but simple and somehow innovative. And it's just that's a real skill. And she's very relatable, and she seems to have a very nice public persona and not be like a nasty person. And she seems very nice. So um, more power to
All right. Anyone from American stage? Lady Gaga, maybe.
her. Meh, I find her entertaining
And that's it?
a public figure.
Okay.
Uh, I have seen performances that she's given that were amazing. I feel
Uh-huh.
sometimes very empowered by her messages,
Message? Yeah.
her message and her
Mm-hmm.
dress sense and her
Mm-hmm.
style and some of her performances and the material. But then some
Mm-hmm.
of it's drivel. Ooh la ooh ah ah ga ga ga. There's baby
That's
noises.
yeah, I know. That's what I call pop, but she's good in jazz music.
Yeah, but the winner takes it all is pop. I mean, there's
Um,
Imagine is pop. Like there's all sorts of pop that's
right.
not goo goo
But
gaga
but
noises.
not in a bad way. You know what I mean? Not just like mass production music. That's what I mean. Like
Yeah. I've
just to
seen the
make
video
money.
where she pulls up that fan out of the audience to do the dance with
Mm-hmm.
her
Mm-hmm.
dance troupe. Every time I watch it, I just feel like tingly. It's amazing. There's a performance where she was sat in some award ceremony, dressed like the
Mhm,
galaxy or in a
mhm,
globe or something, sat at a piano singing live.
mhm,
Beautiful, wonderful, and good on her. But I think some of her songwriting is a little simple. Um, I tell you who I do admire who is like alive and singing. Jennifer Hudson.
mhm.
Anyone, I don't care what you're singing, every single singer can learn from her technique, how she physically generates sound from within her body. Um, that that is a voice, and I think it's so sad that so few songwriters or and this is just my personal taste. I'm sure people love what she does, but it's a shame to me that there are few songwriters and producers who know what to do with that big
Mhm,
a
mhm,
voice.
mhm,
That R&B stuff she does, where it's all very kind of understated and you know, yawn. Anyone can do that.
mhm.
Like she's capable of so much more. When she sings that song in Hairspray, I know
Oh
where I've
yeah.
been.
Oh yeah.
Oh, just that is an iconic moment in sound.
Mhm,
Find me a voice that can do that. Yeah, those that excites me a lot.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough about music. Not that long ago, you've been to London. So how was that? Um, was it different? Was it like I mean, do you miss London at all when you're in the States? No, no,
So
no
um,
nostalgic, no hard feelings, nothing.
no hard feelings. Life's too
Okay,
short to bear a grudge.
okay.
Um, I don't really have anything to bear a grudge for London, aside from that I was probably there for too long. And I feel when you live in London, you know how horses have blinders on.
Yes, yes.
I feel like London creates a sense of that. That if it's outside of central London zones 1 and 2, it doesn't exist. It may as well be Timbuktu, Naboo, Muriburilam.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's so stupid because there is all sorts going on in Buenos Aires, in Korea, in Paris, in Berlin, anywhere. There's so much going on all over the place, and the idea that London is it
Mm-hmm.
was just I don't know. I think that took too much of my time. Um, is it different? No, it's exactly the same as it ever was. It has novelty attached to it now because I've been away for so long, so I'm not necessarily immediately noticing some of the things that I thought were repulsive
Mm-hmm.
when I left. It has a charm, but I was there for too long. The world is huge. I want to go all over the place, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't want. If I step backwards, okay, so that you always find something new to explore. But I don't plan to go back to London immediately this time. But again, I make no. Who knows about the future? But it was difficult being back in London on account of the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
and the restrictions and the lockdown and
Right.
having to
Yeah.
find places to stay when you're not allowed to be a guest anywhere and all the hotels are closed.
But you
Uh,
were lucky enough to escape before the second or the third wave, right? When they
yes, absolutely. But you know,
closed
they're
it
taking
down
it much more
completely.
seriously there
Yeah,
than they
yeah,
are
yeah.
here. I mean, the whole country's in a lockdown all through
Mhm, mhm,
Christmas.
mhm.
All the shops were closed. I got to do no shopping really whatsoever in the UK. Um, um, and they're taking it very, very seriously over there. So it's alarming that it's not being taken seriously here because it means that we have something quite terrifying to look forward to.
Can I ask you a question about a rich Russian businessman in London? Like, what makes them want to be there, to send their kids over to get the best education? Like, why do they choose London? What's so special?
Okay, okay,
And,
because
and, and yeah, how do you feel about that as well?
there is a prestige attached to certain aspects of Britain or British tradition or London that you don't get elsewhere. You know, we have Eton, we have Cambridge, we have Oxford. Um, we have this tradition of private schools that traditionally the alumni of which go on to be fairly influential and successful people.
Hmm.
So there is a prestige attached to it. There is of course, you want the best for your child. If you have all the money in the world, would you not want to send them to the most prestigious school where they're going to mingle with the world's most prestigious up and coming decision makers? Of course, you would.
But there's also the sense of nobility in London, right? Which Russians do not have at all. You know what I mean? Like they're not noble
No, but you have an
people.
oligarchy, which is the same difference, really. It's people with money who live in a class above everyone else. So I'm making presumptions here, but our
Hmm.
nobility and aristocratic
Hmm.
classes
Hmm.
um, inhabit a similar social
Hmm.
sphere um, and similar social function as their Russian counterparts. Okay, they don't have titles that go back however many hundred years, but
Yep.
they're still socially equivalent to each other in a way.
So
That's,
you truly believe that they are accepted by British community? Do they treat
no,
them
there's two tiers
as
of it.
equals? Of
You'll
course
never
not.
be treated. No, of course
No,
not.
yeah.
There's two
So
different tiers of
so you
things though.
cannot
You've
buy
got
that with money, right?
no, but no, but there are two different games being played. There is because titles are mostly hereditary or they're
Mm-hmm.
bestowed upon you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in this very traditional way, and that's all old, you know, blue blood and old money and all that. Um, you can have all the money in the world, but you're never going to be Baroness,
Mm-hmm.
Mark, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
blah 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 blah. But if you can afford to shop at Harrods and to go to um, the festivals and to stay at
Mm-hmm.
these hotels and to do
Mm-hmm.
lunch at Claridge's and to do,
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to mix in those circles because of the means it requires to do that, you're still mixing in those circles. And also, London isn't just you. It's not a race just of to become noble and British because there's all sorts of. It's a world city. You've got bankers and you've got oligarchs from all over the place, and you have um, all sorts of people from all over the world. So okay, so you might not be accepted as a upper class English gentleman, but you're still mixing shoulders with your counterparts from all over the world. If you've got enough money, London is a wonderful playground. But that requires such means. It's this London is so many cities on top of each other. You'll never see that world because you get out of a luxury car and go into a private club, and the, most people won't see that. But there's a whole world inside London for people to enjoy with that. Yeah. So no, and you can't begrudge a foreign presence in London because one, you where well, first of all, our history is very international, and second of all, if we are the best of the business, if it comes to what education or whatever we might be the best for, you're going to attract the best people from all over the world. Um, England, whatever strange Brexit aspiration to become, a non-international place, to regress back from that, it's just nonsense. I don't even
Mhm.
know how we could do it. We have such an international history. Um, no, there's no turn. There's not really any turning back. From. You can't go to the multiculture that London is to such an extent and then really turn back from it. So
Mhm.
London will always have, for as long as it's relevant, the best of Russian society and the best of European society, and until there's another city that becomes more relevant and replaces it. Lots of creative people are leaving London because it's very expensive to go to Berlin, where there's a lot more happening. There's a different quality of life. Um, and the same will happen in the financial district. People might go to Dubai. People might go to. I'm not an economist, so I don't know, but I know that there are countries that are up and coming that will
Mhm.
offer advantages over England. But right now, we're able to leverage certain uh, selling points that
Mhm.
encourage
Mhm.
people to our shores.
You
I
can like
could
start all
I could
over
much
from
more
scratch.
freely walk around London with, for example, a rainbow T-shirt and a kipper on my
Uh-huh.
head.
Uh-huh.
Well, I wouldn't feel dangerous doing that at all. I could walk down the street with a pair of false eyelashes, and who would give a hoot? No one. You wouldn't do that here. You wouldn't do that here. Gosh,
No?
because no, 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 absolutely
Well,
not. People here are the divide. How do I even put this into words? They're people's conservative attitudes here
mhm.
are much more conservative than they are in the UK, and they're also
Mhm.
people who have guns.
Mhm.
Who I don't know. I don't even want to discuss that, to be honest. But
Okay.
um, I would feel I feel very safe in places like New York, London,
Mhm. Mhm.
Tel
Mhm.
Aviv, multicultural, cosmopolitan places. I feel much safer there to be myself, to
Mhm.
express however I might be feeling. If I want
Mhm.
to wear a feather in my hair, I'll wear. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Some days I
Mhm.
might want to wear plaid, and some days I want to wear sequins, and that's entirely up to me. And if I feel that way, great. But I feel more open to do that in uh, larger metropolitan places, or I don't know, somewhere like Holland or Denmark, than I
Mhm.
would here in America, where there is a very strong presence of people who would find that an affront. So I then choose not to affront people because if I'm doing it as because if I want to wear a flower in my hair or a daisy chain because I like those flowers and it's pretty, that's a different motive than
Mhm.
walking around somewhere that's not my. Do you know what I mean? This is
Mhm.
their born and raised. I'm in their guest. I'm a guest in their house, as it
Mhm.
were.
Mhm. Mhm.
Me wearing a daisy chain then becomes an affront to their values. That's me antagonizing, and
Mhm.
then it's no longer I'm wearing a daisy chain because it's pretty. It's me antagonizing people to see how far I can push them before. I don't know. It's just different. It's different. It's different. I just feel I yeah yeah yeah.
Have you traveled there? Like, have you been there before you actually decided to move to the States?
I hadn't been very extensively here, that's for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Um, I had seen little bits and pieces, but like I said before, I've been very lucky to travel a lot
Exactly.
uh,
Yeah.
elsewhere, but not so much the States actually. And I
Uh-huh.
was just thinking this the other day. I've traveled a fair bit. Like I've not just sat here in a thimble, but I go to New York every so often. I love New York. I've been to Vegas. I've been to Texas. I've been to a couple different places.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the same wanderlust here. Probably because it's quite nice. You know what I mean? And to be fair, I live
Mm-hmm.
on the beach. The sun shines. It's quite nice. I don't feel the need to escape in the same way that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I might have done if I was living in some small town in England or
Um, yeah, so
a
my
big
question was,
miserable city.
still, a lot of people in the world, they perceive America as this American dream, right? They have their own ideas about the United States, that everything is possible. You can start all over from scratch, right? You can
Okay.
truly become a billionaire and so on and so on. What do you feel now? Like, what has happened with the American dream? Is there
I never had
any?
that delusion to
No,
begin with, to
never.
be honest.
Okay.
It's a nice idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice thing to believe in, to encourage you to do the best you can, but it's not. There's no land where the roads are paved with gold. That doesn't exist. And you have to you have to hustle in America. You have to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. It's a very different sense. It's just different. Um, Things we take for granted in Europe, like healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to come here and just become a star because how are you going to pay for your health insurance if it comes through an employer? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's not like you have to get a sensible job because if you don't, you won't have health insurance. And so if you get
Right.
ill, then what happens to you? There's a totally different sense of community and um, I don't know. I don't know. It's not easy to land on your feet in the states. That is
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is the idea that people said, "Oh, these immigrants, they come here and they get this, that, and the other." They really don't. You really don't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You are here and you have to sink or swim.
Okay. So yeah, it seems that, well, it sounds like it's not that easy. Not that easy. So, but you're still there. Like, you believe that all is possible. Life will bring you some new treats, some new sweets. You can really start off from the scratch, or like.
I think right now the few we're in the process of developing a new normality, and culture and how people consume culture
Uh-huh.
is changing. Live, what is going to happen to live theatre? How are people going to consume music and things in the future? There's so much change happening right now. It's very hard to predict what doors will open and what doors will close. Um, I hope that there's going to be some really exciting doors opening for me from this concept album that I've just released,
Mm-hmm.
um, which offers it's not a unique new way of accessing theatre, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a viable way that's often overlooked. And if it's no longer possible to stage some independent musicals because in order to fill a black box theatre and make any money, you have to sell 100% and you've only got 50% capacity. Live theatre, the way that you put things on its feet might change. And this medium means that anyone in anywhere in the world can listen to it again and again and again and again and again. It's
Mm-hmm.
not limited to being performed live for these hour and a half or
Mm-hmm.
at this one venue in this one city for this one time. And it brings it, it, it means people can enjoy that experience not tied to a theatre. And as people start to think more out of the box like that, there will be more experiences. My friend has produced a wonderful experience, this immersive theatre where you you walk you using your telephone, you have
Mm-hmm.
headphones on,
Mm-hmm.
and you follow actors. You walk around the park
Yeah, I've
listening
heard
to
about
their
it.
personal
Yeah.
dramas that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
act
Yeah.
out in front of you around the fountain.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. And so there's going to be more real world experiences, I hope, that culture will find a way for people
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sorry, I think I went completely off topic from
No,
this
you
question.
said that we have to get used to this new normality, which is, well, yeah.
Because here's the thing with music: no, people consume music. People feel entitled to music for free.
Yeah.
In a way, it's on the
Mm-hmm.
radio, it's on YouTube, it's music videos, it's MP3s, it's Napster, ringtones, it's whatever. I'm showing my age.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so most musicians, or musicians make their most money,
Mm-hmm.
or certainly this is very broad brushstrokes, but in through live performance. If there is not live performance in the same way that there had been until this year, how are artists going to make money? What are we going to do to replace the live music experience?
Mm-hmm.
How can we integrate that experience into these new lives we're leading where we're not drinking together at the pub and we're not coming together at parties? It's a big, lots of changes. And all these theatrical practitioners who are out of work
Mm-hmm.
because there's no opportunity for them to perform to a paying audience. I think we need to get television more integrated like it used to be. I mean, there's some awful hokey cultural programming things, that you might remember. You sure remember seeing when you were a kid. But with the technology the way that it is now, and the
Mm-hmm.
huge leaps and bounds, we should have a lot more um, content on the television available to people that is from arts practitioners. Who cares what Kardashians are doing, or those 600,
Oh, I
or
must say
those,
millions of people, Giles.
or
Unfortunately.
those my £1,000 sister's life, or whatever. That program about those two obese girls, or the
Yeah.
duck diet people. Why is that taking the place of people whose very reason to exist is to actually provide genuine entertainment? Hopefully, that will click soon enough. And when you turn on your television, you will see the people who are no longer in Cirque du Soleil because it's closed. All those
Mm-hmm.
fantastic performers
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there, all that artistry, all the contortionists and costume and makeup and dance and all that. More of that. Please, let's bring more of that to just streaming in your hands, in your phone, in your
Mm-hmm.
the screens in every room. That's what needs to happen. But who am I to say what will or won't happen? We've already established that. I don't know what the future holds. But culture's
Oh
changing.
yeah.
Culture's changing enormously, and hopefully that will be a good thing. Hopefully, it will inspire innovation and it will bring people together. A headgem. There's been a monopoly of America and the UK, especially in terms of music and pop
Mm-hmm.
music.
Mm-hmm.
But now K-pop is becoming, you know,
Yeah, what do you
uh,
think about that, by the way? K-pop. Is it
well,
something?
what's the problem with it? I think it's good that we should have more of an international scope in our entertainment. Why shouldn't we have Korean music in
Mm-hmm.
the same breath as we have the same pop stars that we hear all the radio all the time? I love it, and also there's an aspect to it there's something very overly sexualized about a lot of Western pop music. It's just become kind of raunchier and raunchier to a point that we're literally singing. Not we're not singing it, but you're literally. What's that song? Wet ass pussy. WAP. You must have heard it. Pardon my French. But listen, here I am apologizing for the name of this song that's on the radio, and all these
Mm-hmm.
kids are doing on TikTok now. I sound like an old man, but
Mm-hmm.
all that. It's quite nice that the Korean aesthetic and paradigm, and it's kind of cutesy and nice. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I had a 12-year-old child, would I want her to listen to that song I've already said,
Mentioned, yeah, yeah, yeah.
or something kind of innocuous and more age appropriate? So I don't know. I mean, I think I think there are some unhealthy standards that these young performers are held to. I think they're worked to the bone. I think they're far too skinny. I think that there are issues with it, and it seems to it's perhaps it's more of a manufactured talent than a grassroots talent. But there's a time and a place for that. Like there's nothing wrong with that. There, if an audience gets enjoyment out, the audience that gets enjoyment out of a manufactured girl band is not the same audience that gets enjoyment from watching a blues band in a pub.
Yeah.
They don't. The more diversity there is, that the more diversity that people are exposed to culturally, the better. It's too narrow. It's too narrow. There are 5 radio stations here, and they're all dribble. I love world music because it takes you to a place that you're not. You can listen to music from India and feel a totally distinctive cultural flavor through that experience that you wouldn't necessarily get from listening to, fodder from on the radio. So I think that I'm all about it. Absolutely, K-pop, more power to it. I love it. I think that manufactured music is fine, but it shouldn't replace. I don't want to say real music because that's not fair. Like I love Steps, the band Steps. They could not be more manufactured. It's literally a band that does dance routines to entirely synthesized musicians, and they don't really very often sing live. You know, it's a guilty pleasure. I love that music, and I wouldn't deny that from anyone. There's people who said that ABBA were terrible, and they're now eating their words as they're recognized as iconic. It's not for me to decide who is good and who is not good. I know who I like and don't like, but no, absolutely. I just think there should be more music, more everything.
You
You don't
sound
think?
very liberal. You do.
I think I probably
Yeah,
am very
yeah,
liberal
yeah, yeah.
on the whole.
Okay. So to sum up, what do you wish for this year, 2021? For
Well,
yourself, for us, for humanity?
I try not to use wishes up on myself because I think it's a wish has more power if you use that wish for someone else's benefit because you're ultimately in control of much of your own destiny. I could wish for a car, but I could also go and buy a car. Do you know what I
Oh
mean? I
yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah, right.
for someone else's happiness that I'm not in control of. I'd rather use the wish for them and maybe get the good karma for it. But that doesn't answer your question. So let's see. I hope that the end of this political era will herald some positive changes for people who need to see and feel those positive changes. I hope that with a little bit of distance, people will look back at some of the um, things they may have been, wins they may have been caught up in with a bit of distance and learn from what they might then perceive as mistakes. I could give specific examples of what you know what I mean, but I don't need
Of
to.
yeah, no,
I
that
don't even
yeah.
need to. And I hope that people move in a positive direction moving forwards and quickly. And by a positive direction, I mean doing what's right and what's good and acting through kindness and love, not fear and greed. This pandemic hopefully has highlighted that healthcare should not be dependent on being able to afford it at that particular minute, and there are voices really trying to be heard that feel marginalized. that could do with being involved more in the discussions about their fates and destinies. And I feel that this year, particularly from having a woman, person of color, in the occupying the role that she is, I think that's going to be a catalyst for positive change. So my wish is that that will happen.
Mhm.
That Corona will. Oh, pardon my French. It won't bring. We can't bring back the dead, and I feel. But I wish a swift grief for those who have been um, who are grieving.
Mhm.
Uh, Now, world peace out of the way. I wish. I wish. I hope that my show is well received.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is that's at the, pretty
That's
much at the
the most
forefront of my
important. Yeah,
wishes.
definitely.
There are lots of
I
reasons
hope so
people
too.
might not receive it well. It is very operatic. It is also quite contemporary, so it, it's very Jewy. It's got
Mhm.
Zionist themes. There's lots of reasons that people might be like, "Oh, I don't know about this. This isn't my cup of tea." But
Mhm.
those are the same reasons that the people who will love it
Mhm.
will absolutely love it. So I'm hoping that I'm, I've made my peace that not everyone will love it, and more. That's people. They're critics because they are critical. I get that,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I hope that even the people who don't like it to their tastes will see that it is an enormous accomplishment and an achievement, and find ways to enjoy it and acknowledge it as such. Um, I hope it makes back at least some of the cost that it went into creating it.
Yeah.
Um, I just hope people enjoy it. I hope people enjoy it, and I hope it opens doors for me that people will assess me and my creative um, what I have to offer. I hope that people will I hope people will appreciate what I have to offer in a new way,
Mhm.
and that it may lead to more opportunities for me to bring emotional and theatrical experiences to people. I I hope it's well. Yeah, in essence, I hope it's well received. I hope it creates opportunities. I hope to see it on stage.
Absolutely.
I hope to see it on stage in or recorded in Yiddish in its entirety,
Mhm.
which is very important to me. And
Yes. Let it be successful in any possible way.
yeah, let it be a success. So I could
Yeah.
paraphrase that 100 times, but let it be a success.
Mhm.
And I hope that my experience of its launch will encourage me to be creative again. Um, and I am thinking about how that might happen, both as a, and I don't want to give too many things away, but
Mhm.
both as a singer myself, as a
Right.
vocalist.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
feeling quite encouraged at the moment. I made some noises yesterday and today that were good noises. Um, I do plan to write something else. It will be very different. I will have a very different approach than I had writing this and producing it and creating it. But I think I've got something else brewing.
Mhm.
Um, and as a producer of other people's work as well. So I've taken coming here quite a long break to lie on the beach, to swim in the pool and the ocean, and
Mhm.
de you know decompress from London. And
Right. Yes. To accumulate some energy for a very bright, fresh start.
but I also took a long break, underestimating myself, taking stock, and also about wasting and losing time. And now, slowly, gears are going to be changing,
Mhm.
and I've still got a lot to say and a lot to prove and a lot to sing. Like, I think my voice is improving. It's also degenerating. It's changing.
It's just
It's changing.
different. Yeah.
It's. I'm making sounds that I think I'm quite happy with, and that other people are responding very well to. I have something exciting yet to write, and some skills as a producer to encourage other people, because that's always been a very important part of my career in the creative arts. Hasn't just been my own voice or my own
Mhm.
glory, but supporting other people. I've before. I mean, I've put much more effort into helping other people than I have into furthering my own career. Um, one might say, and I have good skills at doing that. So no, 2021, I'm going to walk through the doors that are going to open further to this release
Yes.
with a smile on my face and an open heart, and we'll see what. And no expectations, none, because 2021 could be worse than
Mm,
2020, God
mm,
forbid.
mm, mm, mm.
And I don't want to disappoint myself by saying this is going to happen and I'm going to do this and set myself this measure, because if I don't achieve that, I'm not going to feel good. But I'm going to take steps in whatever direction the light is shining in, and I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. It's going to be a great year.
For sure. Wonderful. Well, I guess I have nothing to add. Yeah. Just let it be the way it's supposed to be, right?
Or
Good for
better.
you, good for, yeah, good for everyone. Yeah. And, well, I personally hope to like see you everywhere, on every billboard and every stage on a world tour, because
Do you
you
know, there was
deserve
a
it.
time I thought I really wanted that, and I thought I thought the closer I get to the launch of this, I'm going to be the new Lin Manuel Miranda. I'm going to be on talk shows. I don't want any of that. I don't want anyone to look at me. I don't want anyone to pay attention to. Like, it's no. Look at the work. Listen to the music. Listen to the work. Don't focus on me as a human being. It's completely irrelevant. But um, yeah, no. I want to draw attention to the work, and yeah. Let's see. Let's see if the world's ready for it.
Cool.